Are you considering building your dream home in Oklahoma, but you're not quite sure that it's right for you? Let's discuss the pros and cons of building your dream home here in our state. In the late 19th century, thousands of settlers poured into Oklahoma in a great land grab. These people saw opportunity and they took it. People literally came from all over the world. The federal government gave away thousands of acres of land to people who wanted the opportunity. All these people had to do was line up in northern Oklahoma and race to grab the land that they wanted. There were no roads, a few railroads, and most of the settlements had been evicted. The good news is that Oklahoma now has roads. Oklahoma has roads now, it has towns, large and small, and lots of land that hasn't been developed yet. So we still get a lot of people coming here for that opportunity. And even better, most places now have a really good internet access. A lot has changed about Oklahoma in the past century. I'm Marcie Billen, I am a real estate agent in the state of Oklahoma. Let's talk through the reasons why you might want to build your dream home here, and we're also going to go through some cons. Let's hit the pros first. So compared to a lot of states in the union, Oklahoma has significantly lower cost of living costs. This makes it a lot easier for people to be able to afford a living and comfortable lifestyle and have some money left over. For instance, the median cost of a home in California is $800,000 at the time of filming. And then the median cost of a home in New York is $790,000. Now, as of right now, the median cost of a home in Oklahoma City is $250,000. Now, I'm not saying that you can build a home for $250,000 because it's very difficult to do that. However, you see the significant opportunity that we have in Oklahoma with that lower cost of living. So yes, we typically have lower housing prices, lower utility costs, lower tax rates, both property taxes and income taxes. And so what that means is you would have some disposable income, hopefully, so that you could live the comfortable life that you wanted and build the house of your dreams. There's still a good amount of land available in Oklahoma. Remember that Oklahoma only became a state in 1907. That's just not a lot of time to develop everything. The most common land sales I see are going to be city lots. However, it's super popular to buy an acre, 5 acre, even 10 or more acres to build your dream house on. Land isn't as inexpensive as it once was. However, usually whenever I report the prices to my clients from Texas and California, they're usually shocked at the price per acre because it is relatively inexpensive compared to those states. Number 3, we have a pretty booming job market here. So the two largest cities in Oklahoma are Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Both hover around that 1 million population mark for their metros. We have seen significant job growth in both of these markets in the past decade. So you may not have known that Oklahoma is a big aerospace state, and then the US Department of Defense is actually the #1 employer in the state. Oklahoma is known for fossil fuels, of course, but we also have booming markets in healthcare and tech. Now, where you're probably going to get the most bang for your buck on your dream home is going to be in a smaller town away from these metro areas. However, it's still fairly inexpensive to build closer to these areas if that's where you want to be. And of course, now we're seeing a pretty significant increase in the amount of remote work available. And like I said, our internet access is really good. So you could also live in a small town if you wanted and take a remote job and have great internet access and live that sort of lower cost lifestyle if you want to. I have a video called 5 Cheap Places to Live in Oklahoma. You may want to check it out. I'm gonna link it here for you. So we do have an abundance of natural beauty in Oklahoma. Did you know that Oklahoma has 200 lakes? Yep, that's right, 200. So a lot of people choose to build their dream home either near a lake or on a lake. Not all lakes are allowing boat docks, so just know that. Oklahoma also has 32 state parks, and most land is privately owned in Oklahoma. We don't have an abundance of state or federally owned land. So a lot of people intend to purchase property and enjoy nature in their own backyard. Number 5, we have great proximity to urban areas if you need it. So we already covered that, of course, we have 2 major metropolitan areas, Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Both of these have airports. Norman, Oklahoma, where I live, is the third largest city in the state, and it's really close to Oklahoma City. The fourth largest town in Oklahoma is going to be Broken Arrow, and it's near Tulsa, and then the fifth largest is Edmond, which is on the north side of Oklahoma City. If you live in Oklahoma City or in the southern half of Oklahoma, you have great access to Dallas-Fort Worth as well. Okay, let's move on to the cons of building your dream house in Oklahoma. So you and I both know why Oklahoma is famous. Tornadoes. Tornadoes have done their fair bit of destruction in our state in the past few decades, but really it's been about a century. We just didn't have any data from most of those times. So prior to the 1980s, there wasn't a good system for alerting people about tornadoes or any sort of severe weather. Now we have so many warnings, apps you can use on your phone, everything that you could possibly need to alert yourself to any kind of severe weather. We not only have tornadoes, we also have high winds, and I know this sounds like the same thing, but it's definitely not. Like last April, the wind blew so hard for like a month that you like could barely walk outside. So these wind gusts were getting up to 20, 30, 40 miles per hour at that time. Depending on where your property is, you may also be at risk for flash flooding. And then hail often accompanies the tornadic storms. This is usually going to happen in the springtime. That's a tornado season or severe weather season, but it can happen other parts of the year as well. People also ask me a lot about earthquakes. 2010s, we had a lot of earthquakes. I was in a few, and it was really kind of surprising because I had never been in any earthquakes up until that point. But in the past few years, there haven't been reports of any earthquakes going on that I've heard, because I think they kind of took care of some of the things that were causing that. So number 2 on our cons list is going to be rural flight. So Oklahoma is known for like beautiful landscapes and small towns, but some areas are really facing this kind of rural flight issue. So this comes from like declining economies, declining birth rates. People aren't staying in towns necessarily to work and live because there may not be enough opportunity for them to stay in that town. We'll see this in Western Oklahoma with oil fields. It's pretty common to see towns kind of shrink and grow as the oil fields ramp up and slow down. Healthcare in some rural areas is very limited as well, and we're seeing a lot of hospitals closing, county hospitals and city hospitals, because of lack of funding. So this next con may actually be a pro for some of you. We'll see. So zoning regulations and building regulations can be very lax in some areas of the state. In Oklahoma, we have quite a bit of freedom from government oversight, especially when it comes to permitting and building like house plans and different things like that for residential areas. Commercial properties are a lot more regulated than residential properties. In a lot of areas, there's no occupancy permit for a house, meaning like you can live in it as you're building it, which I know a lot of people do that. So that means there would be no city inspections or county inspections or anything as you're building a house. You often don't have to get any sort of permit or turn in any sort of like plans at all for the house. Now in the cities, of course you do, but outside of that, you typically don't. Even in the cities, sometimes it can be rather lax. There's also a lack of zoning regulations. So when you look at land listings in Oklahoma, you'll see the first line says no restrictions. And that just means you can install a trailer there, like a trailer home. You can build a mansion. You can have all the animals you want, whatever you want to do. This isn't every piece of property, of course, but it's a lot of them. Without regulations, however, there may be an increased risk of unsightly or hazardous development, which may detract from the value of your home. As my clients discover the expanse of Oklahoma, some of them are rather shocked that a lot of roads like that can be close into Oklahoma City or Tulsa or another bigger town may not actually be paved. They might be dirt and they might be gravel. This is really common. So lots of people in Oklahoma comment about the roads, and not just potholes. We have a lot of those. This sometimes shocks my clients coming from other states. We just really don't have a lot of funding in some of these counties to pave roads. Often there's going to be some sort of road agreement is what we call it, because like the county won't take care of a road, so the neighbors get together and make an agreement that they'll take care of the road together. This isn't in every spot, but you'll find it in a lot of different like tiny neighborhoods. This sort of agreement is in place so that you can get financing on properties, because the property has to be accessible in order to have financing. Along with that, roads into towns can be narrow, unkempt, very slow driving, sometimes very windy, just depending on the situation. But I do often hear people complaining about roads, so definitely check that out. If you have any more pros and cons to add to my list, please drop them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you want more information on Oklahoma or Oklahoma real estate, go ahead and hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss anything. And I would definitely watch this video next.